75 years. 75 years ago today, Father Fitzgerald, our founding pastor, offered the first Mass at the newly established Church of St. Clare. The church building was an abandoned tavern across the street from us. The processional cross that Chris carried so well at the Mass, along with the Stations of the Cross that surround us, were all a part of that first Mass 75 years ago. What happened on that day? A fire was ignited. Like the fire in an upper room in Jerusalem, when on Pentecost, like tongues of fire, the Spirit brought forth the church that Jesus left behind. It is that same fire that burns at the Church of St. Clare today. We are on fire. We are on fire because of you. The fire that was ignited continues to burn because of our commitment, our intentional commitment to time, treasure, and talent to further our mission of worship, education, and service. Bishop Paris has invited ours and all parishes in the diocese to commit or recommit each year to time, talent, and treasure. And so, the Pastoral Council will join me in celebrating our time and talent in the spring. Today, the Finance Council joins me in celebration of our treasure, our intentional commitment to good stewardship, to fuel the fire of St. Clare Parish and its mission. Included in today's parish bulletin is a financial summary of our last fiscal year. So I invite you to take home a copy of today's parish bulletin. Last week, our pastoral council met for the first time for this season, as it were, and Jack Ritza, who is this year's chair, offered all of us counselors an Apache wrap, an Apache match. What it is a wrapping of kindling, which enables you to take a charcoal from a living fire and carry it some distance, and there start a new fire. That's what we do with our treasure. We take the fire that is ours, and we take it to a place in the parish or to a place beyond our boundaries, and there we ignite a new fire. That's Pentecost, and that's what we do when we're on fire. And that's why our parish is on fire 75 years after its first Holy Mass. Last week you heard my message. I just offered you Jack's, and now I'm going to invite Mark DeSilvio to offer his as well. Mark is the craftsman, if you will, of the handsome brochure that you received in the mail this past week, one of those snapshots, okay, you'll recognize as Julio right there and me, I don't think. Mark?
The first time I came to St. Clare was in the last century. Sounds like a long time ago. But it's a memory still very fresh to me. So come along back with me to 1961. I was 8 and my sister Lisa was 5. We were staying with my grandparents on Temple Avenue, just a few blocks from here. These were my Italian grandparents. When they were in their 20s, they didn't know each other, but they left their villages before World War I. And somehow Giuseppe and Maria met in Chicago and later raised their family in Cleveland. The backyards of the homes on Temple used to butt against a golf course, which is now the greens of Lindhurst complex. My grandfather had a huge garden, most of which was grapes, and he made his own wine. On that day, Grandpa told us to pick the few remaining grapes. As we were doing so, I saw Grandpa spread out a tarp and lay some timbers on the tarp. I didn't know what he was doing, but soon found out he had created a small ground-level pool only a few inches deep. When our baskets were full, Grandpa said, dump the grapes onto the tarp, and then get the rest of the grapes. So we filled our baskets a second time and dumped those onto the tarp. By then, Grandpa had pulled up one of those rose-petaled back metal chairs. Some of you may remember them. You could rock back and forth. He sat down with his jug of wine, poured himself a glass, and lit one of those twisted Italian stoves, a Toscana. Well, Lisa and I are standing there, and I finally said, what now, Grandpa? Grandpa, in his own style of broken English, said, take off your socks and shoes. Yeah, he had us stomp the grapes in our bare feet. Lisa and I were laughing, and he was laughing even harder. After a little while, Grandma opened the side door. She couldn't see us because we were in the backyard. And yelled, Joe, what are you doing? Don't you know we're going to church in a few minutes? Ah, Maria, okay, aspetta, Italian for wait. Grandpa turned to us and said, well, you gotta get out of there. Wipe your feet on the grass and put on your socks and shoes. We're gonna go to Mass at St. Clare. So yes, the first time Lisa and I came to Mass at St. Clare was with purple feet. We took our seats in the pew. It was Grandma, then Lisa, then Grandpa, and finally me. I took off my socks and shoes because they were damp, and I started swinging my leg. Grandpa just smiled. Later, when Mom and Dad came to pick us up, we proudly showed our purple feet to Mom and told her we went to Mass. I said I took off my socks and shoes. Mom was shocked. So was Grandma. Grandma shouted, Joe, and Mom just glared at Grandpa. He shrugged his shoulders and said, what are you going to do? And walked away. A few years later, first Grandpa and then later Grandma were buried from St. Clare. Fast forward to 1975 at John Carroll University, where I met Rosemary Sweeney, a West Side all-Irish beauty. In 1978, because of the Great Cuyahoga River divide between the West Side and the East Side, we got married at St. Mark's on the West Side, had the reception on the East Side. And so, like so many young couples, we just fell away from going to Mass. We never forgot our Catholic roots, but we just weren't involved. We weren't committed. Some years later, we moved to Lyndhurst and attended St. Clare infrequently. That all changed when Tom was baptized here by Father Jen. That reignited our commitment. St. Clare School and Church became the bedrock of our son's religious development. Rosemary served on the former St. Clare School Board. Now she serves on Finance Council. And me, well, I'm all over this place. Eucharistic minister, lector, parish council retread, the festival and communication ministries, and I work the business office night staff. St. Clare is home to us, just like it is to you. Everyone at St. Clare benefits in some way, spiritually for sure. We're lucky to have two gifted homilists in Father Klaczynski and Father Cosgrove, who bring us the message of Christ in ways we can all understand and use in our everyday lives. We all enjoy the gift of friendship, our shared Roman Catholic values, and a huge corps of volunteers that help in so many ministries. Our parish is important to many folks in need. Some who are grateful for the gift of food, some who are in pain and thankful for a bit of understanding, and others who are glad to be comforted while ill. St. Clare Parish is, without a doubt, on fire. Because I work the night shift in the business office, I have the opportunity to occasionally enroll new parishioners. Every time I ask them two questions. First, have you been to other churches? And second, why St. Clare? Their answers are always similar. Yes, most, especially the younger folks, have checked out other Catholic churches around the area. What I hear time again amazes me is this. They do not feel welcome at the other churches. And that is why they choose St. Clare. Of course, they're welcomed by our priests as they exit, but more than that, you welcome them. You took a chance, extended your hand, greeted them, and said, hey, never saw you here before, here at St. Clare. Welcome. Hope to see you again. You noticed them, and don't we all love them when we're recognized? You did, and they do. We are a unique community among Catholic churches. We roll up our sleeves. We're not afraid to sweat. We're more than generous to our gifts of treasure to other charities, and we share our most precious and limited asset, our time, to enhance our home, here, our parish. The number of involved, committed parishioners at St. Clare is very large, and we'd like more. I'm the one standing here today, but it could just as easily be you telling us the story of how you found your way to St. Clare, though I'm pretty sure you didn't do it by walking in with purple feet. How you got here is important. What is even more important is the fact that you are here today and will be here next week. You are committed to a weekly devotion to God, to Christ, to St. Clare. You are St. Clare, the parish of choice for so many Catholics, and that's awesome. Today we're being asked to commit or recommit to St. Clare. It's not the building, it's the parish. It's you. Please join me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you very, very much. Did you bring your commitment card with you today? If you did, you get a gold star, and a special collection will be taken up in just a few minutes. So thank you for your commitment. If you forgot your card, well, it just so happens there are cards at the ends of the pews. Can you imagine that? And so, I'd invite you, I think there's enough light, or with the help of your phone, if you'd like to today, to complete one of these cards. I'm going to ask those at the ends of the pews to pass them along for our well-crowded pews. Perhaps, Tony, if you need more, why they're right on the ends of those pews, if someone's looking for it.